Welcome to Marathon Champions, the podcast where running legends Benji Durden, Bill Rogers, and Ron Tabb share their timeless wisdom on marathon training and inspire listeners with their wealth of experience. These champions continue to impact the running world today.
Bobbi, I have a question. Did you keep track of your training? Do you have a diary of the type of training that you did back then?
No, not in those days. I was not that organized. I mean, I just went out and ran, but I began to measure off miles, so I knew how many miles I ran, and I knew approximately how much time it took, but I didn't even have a watch. And I didn't know, my friend Bill Gukin in San Diego said that I shouldn't run the marathon in nurses' shoes because they were too heavy. I should get boys size 6 running, so which I did, but I didn't know I was supposed to break them in. And so I had horrible blisters. That first race, I was pretty much on the sub 3-hour marathon most of the race, and then the blisters broke through. And I actually took the shoes off, and I was running barefoot for part of the race. And then bottoms of my feet were killing me, so I put the shoes back on. I mean, you know, we just didn't have the kind of equipment they had today. Those were little flat leather soles with no padding whatsoever. It was really a whole different world in terms of running.
Benji or Ron, can you explain to Bobbi about the newest running shoes that have come out since the
I'll try.
The Olympics?
Started about 2015. Nike began researching using some foam material that is pretty much in all the racing shoes now. And to make the foam more stable as well as add more spring to the shoe, they added a carbon plate.
Wow.
And here they did a lot of the research here in Boulder, at the physiology lab here in Boulder. I didn't know about it, but people would show up at races with these shoes on that are with a black covering over them, and they wouldn't tell you what the shoe was. It was a secret.
Wow.
They're supposed this foam and carbon combination is supposed to improve performance somewhere between 2 and 4%.
Wow.
And so in the first usage of them was in 2016. Nike athletes ran in them, and they were very dominant at the trials and were dominant at the race in Rio. But now all the shoe companies have them. And it has made it just about impossible to equate times from the 80s to times now. I mean,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the point of what I was bringing up about the shoes.
Yeah, and you're talking about having to run barefoot. In my first marathon, I wore a pair of shoes that I shouldn't have worn. And at 18 miles, I took them off. It was like 32 degrees. I ran barefooted for about 2 miles until a friend caught up and gave me his shoes.
Oh God, that's what I
without driving around to see where I was. But so I know about running barefooted.
Oh, no.
It wouldn't be much fun.
I know. I don't know how you guys ran 209s back then.
Yeah, but really? we had been running for years. I mean, my first marathon was finished in 1975.
Yeah.
75? No, it was 76. My first finish was in 1976. And so I ran 209 4 years later. So it was 4 years of development. No, 210 4 years later. It was 7 years later I ran 209.
Wow.
And that's another question for you, though. I know you ran Boston, and I think you won it 3 times.
Yeah.
But what other races did you run?
That's it.
You never ran any other marathons?
No.
Okay.
Well, I take that back. I ran the Foxtrot Marathon, but I can't even remember. Oh, no, I take it back. I take it back. I ran the New York Marathon. Good. I ran the New York Marathon. I don't remember the date, actually. That was a nice marathon, too, all through the boroughs, and little kids put their hands out, and they want to touch your hand as you run by. And the only problem was that if you get seated too far back, you could never get your stride because there's always someone in front of you.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun race.
But you didn't run like a 10K road race or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Now you're jarring my memory. I did run a Bonnie Bell in Boston.
Yeah. Bonnie Bell was a big deal back then.
Yeah, I ran it in pretty good time, but I actually don't remember it. I wasn't much of a, like competitor racer type because to me, running is always the spiritual thing where I'm communing with nature and tuning into the sense of love that's all around us in the universe and the miracle of existence and all this stuff. And I'm somewhere else. And, and racing. I was always pretty fast as a kid. I was really a fast runner and everything, but racing wasn't, I did it more like being part of nature and communing with the, the creative spirit of the universe kind of thing. I wasn't, I,
Bobby, you sound like a flower child from the
I
60s.
know, but I did not do drugs. I hate
Yeah.
drugs. I want it on record. I never touched drugs. No, no, not even alcohol. I just would not do that to my body. But I just felt good. I felt so happy, so free and so forth. And I'm out running and I'm leaping and I'm twirling around and I'm jumping over bushes. And, no, on my way across the country, it was really neat. I slept out at night under the stars. I was just in love with the universe. And my dog, of course, was with me. And then every day I'd run in a different place, and I met all these amazing people all the way across the country. And I was just in love with this country and in love with the universe and in love with being alive here on planet Earth. And of course, I studied science. And so, no, the more I learned about science, the more in awe I was of the miracle of existence, the atoms and the molecules. And Ambi's always teasing me about the atoms and the molecules, and the billions and billions and uncountable numbers of them. And I mean, just to make one atom is just incredible. I mean, the kind of intelligence and power to make one atom, but we don't know why it's here. We really don't. And we make up stories about it and we have our different beliefs and stuff, but it's miraculous. I mean, and I keep going, we're living in a miracle. And I'm jumping around and running and I'm happy out there, feeling this miracle and feeling this love, this creative force of the universe. And I'm not thinking about whether I'm going faster than someone else or they're going faster than me or I don't want to beat anyone else and make them feel bad. And I don't particularly want somebody else to beat me either. So I'm kind of coming at it from a different point of view somehow. And
I wish you had had this conversation with Bill and Benji when they were out pounding me into the ground.
Well, you were trying to pound us into the ground too. We were just returning the favor.
you're just returning the favor.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
it's
I,
interesting.
I admire people who do that, who are very competitive and know how to race and do it well. And so I admire you guys too, amazingly. But I was just in a different, I was just going,
Well,
wow,
it's
this is
not entirely
amazing.
different. I mean, I don't think the three of us would have been as successful as we were if we weren't also doing it because we enjoyed it
Of
above and
course,
beyond the competition, because you
of
can't
course.
just be competitive all the time. I mean,
Yeah,
I got up early today so I could get in my run before this because
yeah.
I that's what I do. I run.
You love to run. I know. You love to run and you feel better when you run and all that. Yeah, it has to be that deep sense
Bobby,
and that you guys are really competitive.
Oh yeah,
And
we
I
were.
really admire that.
well, probably one of the most competitive sports because it is global.
Yes.
Many sports that we see on TV all the time are not global, but they get up the big money and everything. But Bobby, I see behind you some of your art, and I think
Ah,
how you express your feelings about running shows up in your art. Can you tell us a little bit about how you became an artist, how you created the sculpture of the woman runner that is in Hopkinton, and also maybe you could also mention the conversation you and I had at the Boston Marathon finish line 2 years ago.
yes. Yeah, I really uh, art to me is sort of something that as kids we all do art. We all draw pictures, and we all run. We love to run. We go to the beach and we run up and down, or this, wherever we go, the park and stuff. And I just continued doing what I had done as a kid, which is running and art. And of course, I became a lawyer. I had to have some way of supporting myself in there, but the art is something that I just always loved to do, and whether it's painting or drawing and then of course running, I love to express like the human body in motion, the human spirit of running in the marathon. And this, let's see who I have here. This
Kind of like the
guy.
Olympic Games. The
Yeah,
Olympic
this
Games, I think of
guy,
the
the
athletes.
marathon man, and like he's finishing the marathon and he's won and I try to get like the way you feel when you won a marathon. And of course, when I went to art school and I studied anatomy, and so I got all the anatomy. And I think the 26.2 Foundation is interested in having me do a life-size one of this, which would be wonderful for their new museum out there. And if they don't want it, somebody else will, maybe Bank of America or New York or something. But I love this sculpture. And then this one, it's Free Spirit. This is how I feel when I run. Although this is not me running. I did not mean to have one of myself, but a lot of people think it's me, but it isn't. I certainly didn't run nude through the streets. That would have been quite a shock. But anyway, I studied classical sculpture. And of course, all the Greek and Roman sculptures have no clothes on, and you could easily put clothes on. I could put clothes on these, and I thought these would make great trophies. In fact, the first women's Olympic marathon trials, this is the 40th anniversary of that. And Laurel James she and her son, Brent, ran that, and they hired me to do this three sculptures for the first, second, and third winners of the first ever women's Olympic marathon trials in Olympia, Washington. And of course, Joan Benoit won the first place that year. So I just love to express how the human body feels in motion. I just did a sculpture of David Ortiz, the Red Sox Hall of Famer, and I was in the Boston Red Sox stadium there with Ortiz, and he really loved the sculpture, and we're hoping to have that one done life size too. So I just love doing sculptures of human form in action. And I feel it from the inside, kind of. I know how it feels to run and to move like that. So
One of my friends bought one of your sculptures. Can you let us know that anybody listening to our podcast here how they can purchase one of your sculptures?
Oh yeah, just I think on my website, I'm not very good at the website thing, and but there is a connection there where you can go on and just get in touch with me, Bobbi Gibb, and then we'll talk. We can talk on the phone, and you can decide what it is you want. Some people want to commission a sculpture. I do portraits too, like that one. Where is he? Oh, Albert. Well, I do portraits too, and I've had a number of people commission portraits. This is Albert, and I work from photographs. And so anyway, yeah, you just contact me through the website and tell me what you want, and we can talk about price, whether you want to commission something, or these
Are they a couple $1,000s, like for a foot tall?
yeah, I forget what
sculpture?
this is. I don't do much of the business end of things. I think they're a couple thousand each, but they're solid bronze. And the casting
Beautiful.
process takes a long time and it's quite expensive, especially with the cost of bronze going up. And but yeah,
One of my favorite prizes, just about the favorite almost prize I ever won in my running career, was a sculpture of two runners. And when I won Amsterdam Marathon back in '77, and when I
wow,
saw it before the race, I said, I gotta win that, you know.
you gotta wait.
And two marathon runners, and it's kind of like ancient Greece or something where the Olympic Games were born, and
Yeah,
we all are here because of that, you know, that
right.
connection. that art and athletics connection. So you've got a unique place. But remember, I was with you at the finish line of the Boston Marathon a few years back, and Catherine DeReba was there.
Yeah.
And Catherine DeReba is the winningest woman ever in the 128 years history of the Boston Marathon with
Yes.
victories. And I had this idea, well, why not you do a sculpture? And
I
Catherine,
would love that. I would love that. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. She's so strong, so amazing. I
and
would,
I sent that message on to Jack Fleming at the BAA, but we never heard back.
yeah, I know. I'm not getting any response, and maybe I should write up a proposal with facts and figures.
I would do that, yeah, because even though we all know her, Catherine the Great, what she did in the sport, and we know she was clean.
Yeah.
Doping is a big issue in the sport today, and but back in those days, everybody was clean,
Yeah.
and she was such a great athlete for Kenya, and
Yeah.
said the #1 woman at the Boston Marathon.
Yeah. She's great. And like Clarence DeMar, I was just up at his race in Keene, and I mean, 7-time winner. And I love to do a sculpture of him too. And yeah, and I'd start with the most winningest male, most winningest female, and then work down. And we get to you. I would love to do a sculpture of you.
I don't think I'm sculpture material.
You are. You know, come on.
Mar, definitely. Clarence DeMar. And I know you were up in Keene with Alan Stroshine, and I know Amby Burfoot has run that half marathon. Dick Beardsley has. I have.
I've run it.
You were just there, and he told me you did a great job, Bobbi. And something that's new to our sport is that there are now these seniors races, people over the age of 60 or 65. I was at 2 of them this past year, one out at the Big 7 Mile in Iowa, and they had 1,000 seniors walking and running. And then I was at one at the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon.
Wow.
So we're all a little older. Let's support our seniors too, right?
Yeah, that was great. I gave a talk to the super seniors out there. They're 70 years and older, and they're still running marathons and half marathons, and amazing. And I was so impressed with the DeMar marathon, and I was surprised when I got up there to learn that it had joined, in a sense, with the local Rotary. They call it the Elm City Rotary of Keene, and the entire marathon is utilized by the Rotary to raise money for worthy projects around the world and locally. And I have to say, I was reading about it, and I got to this section, and it said, I can never say this or think of this without bursting into tears, because these people are doing something good for other people to help them. And it's such a wonderful relief from the stuff you read in the news, where everybody's out to hurt everybody else, and the nasty stuff that goes on. And here are these people, these wonderful people, and they're running the DeMar race to raise money, because 1 in 5 children in that area, the Monadnock area, doesn't have enough food to eat. And I think there's 1 in 10 in the United States. And I'm going, United States of America, the richest country in the world, can't feed its children? I mean, I was stunned. And then what really gets me is these people are out there doing something about it. They're actually raising money. They're buying food. They're making sure that everybody in their area has enough food to eat. I mean, what could be more fundamental than that? And they work with international Rotaries around the world. There was one in India and different places doing good things for people that help people. And here are people who are doing what human beings are supposed to do. They're supposed to love their neighbor. They're supposed to help their neighbors. They're supposed to be friends with their neighbors. They're not supposed to be taking pot shots at people and hating each other and fearing each other and doing all this. That's not right. It's not disease. I mean, human beings are so capable of so much. I mean, we're capable. We have empathy. We have intelligence. We don't have to be fighting wars. We don't have to be hurting each other. We don't have to be no fearing and hating each other. This is craziness going on. And then I read this stuff, and here are people who are running this race to raise money for kids who don't have enough food to eat. It just really gets me. It's just that's what we're supposed to be doing for each other. And here, this race is doing it. So that's all I have to say about that.
Bobbi, in my travels and all over the country for years and years and years, I've gone to a lot of races.
Yeah.
And almost all the races raise money.
Yes.
Various causes. Boston has something like 200
yes.
foundations where they raise money for different organizations and causes. So our sport,
yes,
every runner, walker who's out in this sport, and it may be happening in the sport of cycling too. I don't know about cycling, but it's this kind of sport where you value your health, and we should all value our health. And we need more of an understanding of that. And I think our sport is leading the way for that.
I agree. I mean, what other sport will one runner stop to help another runner who's fallen?
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, Ron and Benji, did you ever see that in a race where someone went down, or were you too determined to win?
Bill, I can remember
people got lost.
Yeah. Bill, I can remember when you and I ran when we ran Beijing back in '83.
Yes.
And you remember how hot it was. It was brutal out there that day.
Yes.
And I recently went back and looked because I have the video of that race. And both of us were in it to win. But one of the things that we did is we shared the sponges, we shared the water. I handed a sponge over to you when it was, and vice versa. You were handing sponge and water, back and forth. Yeah, we wanted to, I wanted to kick your butt. You wanted to kick my butt. We wanted to win.
Yeah.
But we still were concerned about each other's ability to survive the race. And it just seemed like good sportsmanship. And that was pretty much, I think that encompasses the sport itself, the type of people that,
And I think you're right, Ron. It doesn't matter either what country you're from.
Right.
Top runners from around the world, and you kind of cheer each other on. You give water or something like that and that's just the spirit of our sport.
I giving you an advantage by doing that? I didn't perceive it as that. I was just doing.
There are situations today though where you could be disqualified for doing that. But I remember a couple of races over the years where I'd be following somebody and I'd see they made a wrong turn. I'd yell at them to tell them to get back on the course.
Yeah,
they're going to get lost.
We saw that a lot.
Yeah,
it's
especially in cross country.
Well, yeah, cross country especially. I mean, a whole bunch of us got lost to the 70 cross country championships and didn't finish the race, but it wasn't our fault. We just were misdirected. But yeah, we're trying to beat each other, but at the same time, we're trying to be the best we can be. It's not just, whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
As well as, the charity part of it has been a big part of the sport forever. Well, I shouldn't say forever, but for almost all the time I've been racing, charity has been a big part of it.
Benji and Ron, Bobbi, how many runners are there in America? I think about 500,000 run a marathon every year.
It's more than that now.
Yeah, I would say it's a higher number. So, I mean, just look at
the high school. The problem is that those are not all Americans, but they're probably, I would guess there's in excess of 1 million people that run on a regular basis now.
Well, look at the participation in high school these days with between cross country and track.
Yes.
Huge numbers.
But it's not changed, Ron and Benji and Bobbi. When I open up the Boston Globe and sports page like I did today, I read all about the football and the basketball and the baseball. I don't see anything about cross country. And 500,000 young American boys and girls, men and women, high school and college are running cross country. 500,000. There's
Nothing.
nothing, no
Very
sports coverage.
incredible.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Well, part of the problem, Bill, is also you're opening up the papers. The papers are newspaper is a dying media.
Oh, dear.
Um, and the only
Stuck
people
in the
that
past.
yeah, and the only people that really are paying attention to the newspapers are probably not people that are paying attention to cross country running. So they're
Oh, gee. Yeah.
I don't even read newspapers anymore. In fact, I don't hardly ever read, traditional media anymore because it doesn't appeal to me. But
Yeah.
yeah, cross country doesn't get the exposure it should. I know more about it probably than a lot of my peers simply because I worked in it for so many years and we have a lot of contacts in that world. But yeah, it's a sad thing. I don't know how you change it, but it's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's worldwide. But I like what Bill was just saying, and I always t tell people, in Boston, there are people there from all over the world, from every political persuasion, every different race, ethnic group, and we all just love each other. We're all talking together and hugging each other, and and so I've always said, if we can do it in Boston, we can do it in the world.
Bill and I had a conversation a couple of days ago when he was checking in on how we were doing with the hurricane. And we talked for probably an hour, a little longer. And one of the things we were saying in the conversation, because we were talking some politics, and I said, if it were runners running the world, we wouldn't have all the problems that we have today.
Right.
Well, but at the same time, I mean, Kamala, when she found out they won the election in 2020, she was out on a run. Um,
Cool.
Clinton runs. Um, we've had several, presidents that have been runners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carter, unfortunately, Carter had a heat issue and got his picture taken collapsing. That was a Phil Stewart picture. I don't know how many of you know. Three of us at least know.
Yeah.
Phil not. But we've had leaders that were runners, I liked the leaders when they ran. But it's not there are also we're saying runners are good people, but I've known some bad people that were runners too.
And
It's good and
yeah,
bad everywhere.
Yeah.
well, there's an exception to the rule.
Oh
but
yeah. I mean, in any large population, you're going to have a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I think what's happening in Florida is a great story, a positive story
Yeah.
about the US, where, I know people from New England, I see it on the news, all these electricians and carpenters are huge numbers of people trying to help out
Right.
people in Florida and
North Carolina too is
Yeah.
first responders have been absolutely amazing.
Right. Amazing.
I mean, we're seeing down here, and I mean, we're seeing this firsthand. We're seeing people out and about. We were out last night because, like I said, we didn't have electricity here for 4 days at our place, and you had Florida Power and Light trucks, hundreds of them all over the state because we went over to Fort Lauderdale. But I mean, it's an army of them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The job that they're doing and the hours that they're putting in and the sacrifices they're making, and some of them
Right.
probably lost their homes as well.
Right.
I thought the people in the state of Florida did a great job in preparing for this and doing, helping people out. Just incredible. However, there is climate change. That's the giant.
That's undeniable. Yeah.
That's the creature in the room that we're all dealing with. And at some point, I know some people don't believe in it, but I don't know.
if you live in Phoenix, you can't disbelieve in it. It is 110
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
100+ days in a row. It's hard not to.
If people down here in Florida, if they're denying that there's climate change, then they're obviously blind. I mean, it's just two hurricanes. We've had two major hurricanes.
And
hit
another
here.
one is kind of
And another one,
out
yep,
in the Gulf.
yep, I saw that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Bobbi,
Yeah.
we really enjoyed talking to you.
Well, I love talking with you guys, and it's really fun. And I agree with you. I mean, people are extraordinary, you know, ordinary people are extraordinary. And we do have a long tradition here of helping each other out in America. And no, and everybody turns out when somebody's in need or if there's a big emergency or something. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful characteristic that we do have, which is nice. I'm glad you brought that up.
Bobbi, you were a true pioneer of the sport of marathoning, and you always have that. You're also an excellent artist and a good speaker and writer, and just great to thanks for joining our podcast.
Yeah, I'm
Amy and
really
Ron.
honored to have the
I'm honored.
opportunity to meet you and talk to you.
I'm honored.
You're
I'm
amazing.
honored to talk to you. I'm in awe of you guys. So the feeling goes both ways.